Welcome to our self-awareness series with the Emotional Barometer from the School of Life. This is a tool to help you define your inner weather. And today we are talking about, can you see it? Weepy. Let's get into what they say about weepy. We're not actually crying at the moment, but the tears are far closer to the surface than they normally would be. A whole host of relatively minor things threatens to set us off. Strangely, they aren't the grim things we might associate with crying. They're things that feel especially beautiful, tender, or pure. We might feel our eyes moisten at the sight of some delicate flowers breaking through the hard earth after a long winter, or a parent and child chatting animatedly together in a cafe. The kid is talking about a penguin they've seen in a book. Or a friend who greets us in an unusually warm way. Or a moment in a film where a moralistic father makes up with his wayward son. The source of our weepiness is located in the place where the troubles of life collide with what is still kind and good in the world. The loveliness we see in a film, in a park, in a book, makes the actual ugliness of day-to-day life all the more vivid. We want to cry at poignant reminders of a kind of paradise that's ever more elusive, at what we crave and have been exiled from. If we were to consider the unusual project of trying to create a robot that could feel weepy, we would have to do something apparently rather cruel. We would have to ensure that this robot knew about suffering, that it was able to hate itself and feel loss and confusion, for it is against this kind of backdrop of pain that beautiful scenes become deeply important rather than merely nice. Our weepiness is telling us something key, that our lives are tougher than they were when we were little, and that our longing for uncomplicated niceness and goodness is correspondingly all the more intense. When we are weepy, we don't need to be cheered up or told to feel grateful for the good things we still have. Ideally, we'd like the sorrow in us to meet the sorrow in another person. It sounds odd, but perhaps we'd like to weep quietly for a bit with someone else who understands. What I really love about this particular explanation around weepy is particularly at the end when there's this picture painted of the dignity effect. And I don't mean as a company name, I mean as an actual experience. And essentially the dignity effect is when a human is across the table or on the other side of the room from another human and realizes and connects to their shared humanity, and that it shifts something in them, and it allows us to remember that we are deeply connected, that we all have complicated stories and desire beauty and desire to be known and loved, and that becomes a foundational place from where we move forward or move towards somebody else. And so this weepiness is a common human experience, right? And that juxtaposition of sorrow and beauty is so specific, but though it pulls at the heartstrings of many of us, we can identify with this feeling and this internal mood of weepiness. And there's something there beckoning us to connect, beckoning us to remember, right? The beauty and the tenderness of life, even when life feels really, really difficult. And one of the things, at least in my experience with feeling weepy, is often feeling that way is accompanied by a lot of mixed, different, sometimes opposite emotions. It's almost like there's so much going on the inside of you that it's got to come out, and the only way it can come out is through your tears, but it gets triggered by like beauty and tenderness and connection. So those are my thoughts on the reading of Weepy, and I will see you soon, the rest of the self-awareness series.